All right, our correspondent Amrit Pal Singh joins us live for more on the developments. Amrit, good morning. Now, yesterday, an emergency session was held at the UNSC. Get us the update on what all transpired at the session yesterday evening.
Out of them, we saw Iran vehemently defend itself and its actions, saying that it had the right to self-defense and it was keeping in. It was proportionate, the response was proportionate, blamed Israel for escalating it, saying that it hit its consulate in Damascus, and therefore the retaliation, it accused the UN Security Council of failing itself for avoiding escalation and holding Israel accountable. Israel understandably accused Iran of hostilities, threatened further escalation, saying you heard the Israeli envoy in the UN saying we have no frog in the boiling water, we are lying, country of lions. So that kind of rhetoric, saying that it will, that there will be a response to it. The rest of the world was trying to, caution both sides to de-escalate the situation, exercise restraint, and see the situation does not escalate. While the Americans have called a meeting of the G7 to see how it can go further, because Israel had called for made a fervent appeal for imposing all possible sanctions on Iran. So I think that could be something that the G7 could be discussing, because the Americans have made it very clear to the Israelis in that phone conversation between President Biden and President Netanyahu that they will not be a party in terms of any military escalation, or will not, be with Israel when it comes to military escalation or military retaliation. So I think, the calls for restraint, including by the UN Secretary General, who condemned the Iranians for the attacks and called upon Israel for restraint, and said that any retaliation would be violation of international law. And they should exercise restraint, and call for all sides and all players in the game, both the regional and the global players, to see that it does not further escalate. So what transpired at the UNSC yesterday was on expected lines, Pretty.
All right, so that was on expected lines. Now, talking of the situation, Amrit, the war cabinet of Israel favored retaliation in response to the Iranian attack, but it was divided over the timing and the scale of the response. At the same time, US President Joe Biden has said that it will not support Israel if it chooses a retaliatory action against Iran. Put all this together, let us understand more from you. How is Israel positioned at this point in time? Is it capable enough to take on Iran directly?
Oh yes, it's absolutely capable. Militarily speaking, diplomatically speaking, the diplomatic heft it has, the economic resources that it has at command, etc. It surely is capable of attacking Iran. The question is, will the world let them do it? Not that they care much for the world, but if it further escalates, they will have to factor in the diplomatic response to it, given that President Biden has strongly urged President Prime Minister Netanyahu to refrain from having a military retaliation, and saying that we will not support any such military retaliation. The European stand would be on similar lines. But more importantly, what would be weighing on Benjamin Netanyahu's mind would be what would happen to the 133 odd hostages on which negotiations were on before the attack happened. There are reports that Hamas has offered to release them, provided the Israelis observe a 6-week-long total ceasefire and allow the people to return to northern Gaza, the displaced people within Gaza. Now we'll have to see what response the Israelis give to that. But they are surely considering the offers made from the other side, because as time passes by, pressure within the domestic constituency for Benjamin Netanyahu is building up to get the hostages released. And what if they come in harm's way? So would he take would he want to take up pay that political cost for that? And once, say, slaughtered images of slaughtered hostages starts playing on television screens, through social media, etc., that would be politically very costly for Benjamin Netanyahu. After all said and done, he is the Prime Minister of the country, but he's also a politician. So they'll have to weigh all that. There are strident right-wingers in his own cabinet who want a muscular response to it. But then, the final decision of the war cabinet would weigh all these factors before Israel takes any kind of retaliatory action.
All right, Amrit, India has also urged immediate de-escalation and has also put forth the solution to be diplomacy and dialogue. Having said that, we've also given a broad outline of the conversation Dr. S. Jaishankar had with his Israeli counterpart yesterday. You get us more on India's stance on the issue?
Well, India's called it a humanitarian crisis. India's asked for de-escalation. India's asked for restraint. India's called for not allowing it to escalate further into a regional conflict, because that is not in the interest of either parties, nor the wider region, nor for the globe in general, given how it would affect global supply chains, especially of oil. You already know how the Brent crude has gone up, and how it could have a further effect on the global economy. And of course, the humanitarian aspect of it. So Dr. Jaishankar had a word both with his Israeli counterpart, also with his Iranian counterpart, urging both sides to exercise restraint and see that it does not escalate further. So because India's consistently been saying that there is no military solution to it. Things have to be sorted out on the table, and that is the only sensible way to go forward.
All right, Amrit, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details.